Hello, I'm Cami G, and welcome back to our Endurance AFK builds. We are in Plankerton here at Amplifier A. Obviously, this might be a different letter for you, but this is the South Amplifier, just to the south of the home base, as you can see on the map. Now, I have two spawns for this. Again, this could be different depending on where you place your amplifiers. So there is an amplifier over there, which is the southeast one. So if you have one placed there, you won't have a spawn here, but I do, so we'll build that in the next one. But you will, if you have this one placed, I believe it is a forced place, this one. So we'll definitely have this direction, everyone should have this direction. But for the south, they do spawn around about this area down here. Quite a wide spawn. So there's a few ways they can try get up to the amplifier. So as you may have noticed, there is this ramp here, which is sort of a side direction up this ramp. So the ones that spawn over here are probably going to want to go down there. So what we'll need to do is block off that, obviously that flank. But the main thing we're going to go for is letting the enemies come up this ramp here, straight towards the amplifier. Plenty of room to do damage here. You know, we're in Plankerton. It's really not too difficult to do enough damage. The main thing is that endurance. Because there are less amplifiers, they get attacked a bit more. So we can start by blocking off some of the flanks here. So as I say, they spawn down here. Now there is a flanking route here they could take. So we'll just block this off. If you are seeing that this isn't enough, you know, you can just place a bit extra like this. And then you can do the grid method behind as we have in the past. Basically all we're doing is just pointing these cones towards where they would come up. The one on top of the ramp you can just place as a flat cone. You could edit it, you know, in a certain direction if you want, but the flat cone will work fine. And then that should cover this flank. If you are seeing any more, you know, aggression, you can block this ramp here off, but you should be okay. As I say, it is just Plankerton, you know, you're not really going to see too much heat. We need to block this ramp here, which is just next to where they will be going towards the amplifier. Again, put a cone on top. And if you do see any, you know, enemies trying to break through here, you can just, again, add more blockage at the top. I don't think you would need to add cones behind this. I really don't think you would need it because at this point when the enemies are here, you can block that side as well, actually. But when the enemies are here, it's a pretty straight shot to the amplifier. You know, they're not really going to want to go flanking round. We will have traps in this area anyway as well, so it will block them, you know, from trying to do anything there. So this ramp here is quite wide. So what we're going to do is bring them up the sides and then bring them forward here. So what we will do is block off this center one like so. You might not need the cone on top, but we're going to add it on top anyway. And then as they come up the ramp, we can do some damage. Now the thing you might want to do here is add a bit more blockage to this. Get that faced that way. That should be plenty, and then we've got this bit blocked off as well. The reason being is we're bringing them up here. We don't want them to want to break out to this side or up that ramp, for example. But the beauty of this is we can add a wall launch on here, send them back out. You could even move this further back if you wanted. So what we will do is we will have ceilings here, which will go over the spawn. If we get rid of that wall as well. Now, what we can do is have the wall there instead. Because we're going to be putting wall darts on these walls to hit them as they come up the ramp. So it can be quite far away. And then the further away it is, the further the husks can go when they're hit with the wall launcher. So that's the reasoning for that. And then you're going to want, well, we've got the walls built for it, but just a note here, you're going to want sound traps on these as we go up. But, you know, I'll cover that when we place the traps. So, yeah, the spawn's quite wide, so you can go pretty far back with this. And because we are in Plankerton, you know, there's fewer amplifiers to build for. We don't need as much structures remaining for the other builds, so we can go pretty extended with this. And it's also going to act as a lobber shield. So down here, for example, we want to cover a bit of it. And we'll cover over here. Reason being is flingers and lobbers could go down here. And then aim at the amplifier, so this acts as a shield for that. While we're over here, we can go ahead and block off this other ramp that I mentioned earlier. So we're just going to stop them here. Edit my cone to be normal again. Block from the bottom. I wanted to avoid placing an extra wall, but it did it anyway. And then, you know, again, if you see any sort of aggression at the bottom of the ramp, just add extra, you know, like this, for example. Add extra blockage. I think it should be fine without it. But what you can do anyway is you could extend these ceilings round if you wanted, or just put a ceiling here, for example, with, you know, damage traps on. Probably want to block the side of that ramp as well. You know, as I say, you can put ceilings here to block that, but we will probably block the bottom of this anyway, or from here block it, because we don't want enemies that spawn down here to be able to wander off wherever they please, because they could go here, aim at the amplifier, for example. So what we'd want to do is block them from being able to do that. Now, where you do that from is up to you, but I think from up here is the best way to do it. So if we just do that, like so, then the only places they can spawn is in this courtyard. This acts as an extra blocker for this ramp, so you probably don't need all this. You could just leave that one on, just in case. But yeah, they don't spawn any further down than this, so we should be fine. And then, as I say, for the ceiling, if you really want to, you could extend this over one more. From here, I don't think they can get an angle because we have blocked it. But if you do notice them being able to get an angle, because, you know, things change or whatever it may be, please just, you know, add that. Now, once more for here, you can add these ceilings. This will cover this ramp. You probably want to put a wall on the side of that as well, meaning that we can add, you know, drop traps on this to affect stuff that might try break through there. There is another way up over here, so we're just gonna block this. It's quite a lot of flanking routes in Plankerton, which is what really messes you up on Endurance. You know, if enemies can find a flanking route or even just one flinger, because the waves go on for so long once you get to a certain point, it really messes you up. So we wanted to go over the top with these and really block every single ramp here. So this is just next to that one. And then if you really want, you can just add a wall there just to stop anything from being able to get through. As I say, the main thing here is stopping enemies from being able to flank round. So adding that stuff stops that from happening. And then you could put a ceiling over that if you needed to. I think wall darts would be wooden wall spikes would be enough. So I'm going to leave that at that. And then for here, you can go one further back with this spawn damage if you want. So we're going to do that here. It's up to you how far back you want to go. If you have loads of structures at the end and you wish to place more over the spawn, feel free to go another layer back. Over here, you could add one more. I don't think they can fling from here. But you know, there's not really any way they can get up, and then this is coming into the territory for the spawn or the other amplifier. But if you wanted to stop them from being able to get up here, you could block these ramps to stop them from, I don't know, standing here. But I really don't think they would or could aim at the amplifier. But we can add anti-air stuff over the amplifier when it gets to that anyway. Right, so that's a lot of stuff, and we've barely even built the you know, actual trap tunnels here. So let's go ahead and build them. So as I say, we're going to bring them straight through here like this, right towards the amplifier like here. And what we can do is this. The reason why we're adding this at the back of the tunnel is it stops smashers from wanting to charge as much, but it also just gives it that extra bit of you know, structural support. And then the wall here, we can put a wall launcher on. Now, what you can do if you want is when you've brought them to this point, you could block it like so. That means you can put a wall launcher here to send them further back. As I say, there's always multiple ways you can do it. So you could, for example, block them here and then make them go around here and then block them again here and bring them forward. As I say, there's so many different ways you can do trap tunnels in Plankerton. It's a lot more forgiving, obviously, than Twine. Twine is very specific in how you can make it AFK, because it's just a hard area. So, for this area, you could either block this like so, to stop enemies from wanting to break through this wall here. What we're going to do, though, is just leave this open, and we can also do it there as well. We'll hold off for the ceilings for now, because we're going to place the ceilings higher up. So that's the reasoning for that. But this, we can do that with the floor. And then over here, as we go towards the amplifier, we'll place walls further away to do wall darts. Then on this, we'll place a floor for extra structural support. And then we'll get our low walls going like this. This one's not too important. You probably don't even need a wall there. That's up to you. We block this corner off with low walls. Same with this one. And then what we can do is add the floor as extra blockage. For this one, I'm actually going to change this real quick to a full wall. The reason being is we can put a wall launcher on this to send them back here, and then they'll get sent back once again. And it also means enemies are less invited to, try break out here, and we can use this space to block like so. Didn't mean to place that one. Stops enemies from wanting to break out the side of the trap tunnels, because we definitely don't want that. Yeah, definitely don't want that. Back here we can get the low walls going. And then what we're going to do at this point is we're just going to allow them to come through. The reason being is if we allow them a gap to get through, I mean, no enemies are going to make it to this point anyway. But the reason being is if we give them a gap that they can walk through, you can even just add like a wall like that to make their trip extra long. But yeah, if I can get to the reason being before interrupting myself again. The reason being is because if we block it, then enemies are less likely or more likely to want to break out of the trap tunnels to go around to the side or something. Whereas if we give them a nice route where they can just literally walk into the amplifier, they will definitely want to just walk down here and, won't take any unnecessary, routes out or anything like that. Perfect. So at this point, all we need to do is add the ceilings. So what we're going to do is build up like so. Oops. And then the ceilings are going to be high over this. The reason being is tire drop traps are going to knock enemies back as they come through, and then at the sides of the trap tunnels we can use ceiling electric field to have damage zap inwards. So there's a bit more room for experimentation. So for example, like here you can add an extra roof. There, ceiling electric field here will zap in. You can go a bit further out with it. Like over here, you can put roofs here because these will zap into the tunnels for the enemies that are walking here. You could even go as far as putting one there if you want. You don't want to go too overboard with it. By that meaning, you don't want to make it so that I'm just going to add a little connection here just to connect those. But yeah, if I can think of words. You need to save structures for your other builds, obviously, but as I say, in Plankerton, we have quite a lot to play with. So it's up to you if you want to strip any of it back. It is pretty over the top, this, for Plankerton. But, these builds are meant also for people who have not gold perks and everything. They might not have full durability on their traps, that type of thing. They might not have Machinist Harper, to have the extra durability on the traps, that type of thing. Now, what we're going to do for the amplifier is we're going to build walls on these outside bits, like so. And then if I can jump up here, probably easier to place it from here. We raise it like this. Like this. Took me a while to decide how I wanted to build the actual build over the amplifier, because we want to leave it sort of open so that enemies can just walk in through the main tunnel. But at the back here, we want to close it fully off because we don't want enemies to be able to land say, you know, here from a flinger or whatever, and then walk in. So this stops them from being able to do that. Obviously, we're leaving this bit open here so that enemies can walk in. But if we close that side off, it stops any enemies from wanting to flank round and just walk in. So the only bit you want to allow in is here, which means over here we want to block this off. Whether you do it, you know, where you block it's up to you, but I'm going to block it there. And then this build at the top allows us to put anti-air traps or wooden floor spikes if there are any enemies that do make it in from flingers. It just allows us to deal with that. So that should be everything you need. Obviously, keep an eye out for any update videos as I thoroughly test these afterwards, as updates come out, that type of thing. But yeah, I'll go ahead and level all this metal up, and then we can place the traps, so I will see you very shortly. All right. Now that you've got that stuff leveled up to tier 3, obviously not as important as, say, twine, but it is still important with certain modifiers and such to, you know, level this stuff up. We can start at the amplifier here. So as I say, I think it's important to have an anti-air trap here. You can put more as well, say, you know, here, just in case. And then on these side ones, what we're going to do is place wooden floor spikes. So place wooden floor spikes. This just means that if any normal husks do land here, they're going to take damage and die before they can break through. Ideally, you'd have like healing on this stuff, you know, just in case, but it help. At the same time, we're not expecting many things to happen. This is just an in case. Yeah. Now, at the objective, we don't need a full durability launcher. We're going to go for the general build launcher, and then you can even put one here if you really want. But as I said, I don't think anything's going to make it to this point. So for the floors, as we go through here, we're going to place tar pit traps pretty much on all of these. For the start here, we will go for wooden floor spikes. And what you can do here as well, if you want, is add, you know, this sort of extender here, or you can go for a thin wall. The thin wall might be better just because they don't have as far to go, and it incentivizes them less to try and break through the walls. So you can add those in if you want, and you can add them in other places, you know, like all the way through this whenever you're going past a wall launcher. I don't think it's overly necessary though. Now on these low walls, we're going to go for our wall dynamos as we go through here. Literally just on the low walls, and that will do it. On this back wall, we can have wall darts. Just doing these as and where I can. Got some broadside traps here, because these walls are facing each other. Here's going to be the wall launcher. On this one, we want a durability one, so make sure you get full durability. Well, I say full durability, but it's, I'll just briefly show you. It's 1 impact, 1 reload, and then 4 durability on that. These walls is where I said you should put sound traps. So I'm just going to use the 130 ones. Forgot to mention at the start, probably should have. I am using 106 traps for this. Oh, that's a 130. You can use 130 and they will be slightly higher level. So if I look at this, it is 106. If I place a wall here real quick and put a 130 on it, it's 116. So you're losing 14 levels. Now it does have 10 more than this, but we're in Plankerton. I think until you get into Canny, I don't think you really need the top level. What you can do here is add another sound trap just as extra, you know, for that. And then under here, you can put a ceiling electric field if you want. It's up to you on that one. That is kind of optional. And then as you come up here, we're going to do broadsides. And then on the ceilings, we want ceiling drop trap as they come up the ramp. We'll do this one as well. Now, for this area, it's up to you how you want to go about this. What I'm going to do is do ceiling drop traps sort of in the center, and anywhere we have a hot spot where they might be trying to break through something, I think the tire drop traps are perfect there. And then at the middle here, we will continue these drop traps. Then for the areas where it's sort of to the side, it's a bit more out of the way, so like these ones over here, we're going to use Ceiling Electric Field. Now, as I say, it's up to you what you want to do here. On the edge ones, as I say, we'll do Ceiling Electric Field. In this area, it is deeper, and I think these only go down 2. So on the remainder ones, that's not wall traps, I want ceiling traps. We will place tire drop traps on the remaining of these. And these also act as mitigation for the walls. As I say, you can add them here if you do see action around here. And you can add wooden wall spikes on these if you want. I don't think you'd need them, but if you want to add those, please feel free. Speaking of wooden wall spikes, down here, we'll go ahead and put one on here, if I can get them. And then on these, add them there. Right, that should cover the spawn stuff, so now we can go back to the main tunnels. Bit all over the place, I appreciate that. Level up these side walls as well while we're here. Now, this one here wants to be a ceiling electric field, and then as we've got them, we can go ahead and place the rest of them. So as I say, the rule of thumb with the ceiling traps is if it's looking over spawn in the center, or if it's looking over where the enemies will actually be walking, so this entire path, they want to be drop traps, the tire drop traps. So these 3 would be tire drop traps. Any that are to the side, which basically means if it's not over where the husks will be walking, they want to be ceiling electric fields, because these will zap in to the tunnels and affect them. There's a wall up there that's not fully leveled up. Interesting. So, not that one. Not that one. That's annoyed me a little bit. That one though, this one here, you can see it's not over a place where they'll be walking. These 2 are, and then at the sides at the back here. Now we can place the tire drop traps. So if I get those back out here, we're going to place these all the way down this tunnel. We'll start the other side, actually, it's a bit easier. So you want to be facing the amplifier while they place these, effectively. So I'm going to face that way for that one, actually. Basically, whatever way you're facing, the enemies will get knocked backwards. So as they come up, you want to basically place it in the direction the enemies would be facing. So I'm just going to do that here. Then as they come here, they'll be facing this way. This will then knock them back here. This one will knock them back, and so on. So just make sure you're placing it in the direction I'm looking, effectively. That should cover all the ceiling traps. If you didn't mess up like I did and messed up the ceiling. Then all we have left to do is... that's a 130. I want my 106. I should just put them all in storage, really. On these ones where we have, this sort of blocked off, they want to be wall darts. This here wants to be a wall launcher. Full durability on this one, and that one. This one can probably be high impact. And then basically everywhere you have a wall launcher, we're going to place... that's 130 again. Bad habit of fine. We want broadsides opposite them because they will ping back at... Maybe not this one, obviously, but basically if there's a wall opposite it, it's actually only this one that counts. If you wanted to adjust the build and make this a full wall, for example, you could to get extra broadside damage. Because I do back the broadside as, the best trap in the game. But seeing as though this build isn't really too designed for it, because we've got this extra side damage area stuff, we can't do as much as we would have liked, but that's fine. Right, there you go. I think that's all the traps we need then. Yeah. There you go. Simple as, I guess. I mean, it's been quite long, I'm not going to lie. But that's just because we are, making sure it is fully efficient for absolutely anybody, no matter, how low their perks are and such. So, yeah, I really appreciate you watching, getting to this point. I would love a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. If you are already subscribed, I appreciate you so much. Definitely check out the East build for this if you don't have that amplifier placed down there. If you do have the amplifier placed, obviously you don't need to watch that video. If you still want to watch it out of curiosity, I'd love that. But you'll have to let me know if you do have the amplifier placed. and you need build guides for that, because I can work on that after I've done all the other ones to help you guys out, because that's at the end of the day, I'm here to help you guys out. So please let me know if you need that. But yeah, I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.